All right, Marc, welcome to the Dean Gunther podcast, man.
Yeah.
It's a real honor to have you here. I mean, you know, you've been a client and a friend of mine for quite a few years now, and you've got a very interesting story, and I'm sure a lot of, my listeners will relate to it, and there's a lot of people out there that can relate, and we'll be talking about, drugs, addiction, sobriety, and what got you out of it, but we'll go over all that today. And so if you'd like to introduce yourself and just give a little bit of a background from about your life and who you are.
Where to start? I'm Marc, and I've lived a bit of I don't know how to say it, up and down my life's been. A bit bizarre, in most periods of it have been a bit lively.
Yeah.
Drugs, alcohol, crime, well, drug dealing, no other sort of forms of crime really, just selling drugs from a very young age.
So how did you first get introduced to drugs?
I was in the Cub Scouts, the Cubs, which is before the Scouts, and we had to do this project on the police force, do some homework on the police force, and there was different parts of the police force you could choose, and I chose drug squad. And I remember reading about all the drugs and this was like drugs that don't exist anymore. It was from like Victorian England and like the 1900s, and I remember reading about them and thinking, I cannot wait to try these. And I must have been 9 or 10 years old.
Wow. That's such a young age. What do you think made you? It
was never peer pressure. I was just curious about it from the minute I found out about them. I was like, well, these sound good. They never sounded like dangerous or scary. Or maybe they
Sounds
did,
like
and
time.
it excited me, the excitement of it. And always thinking I'm smarter than the rest, so I'll never get addicted to anything. I didn't know what addiction was at an early age, but when I realised that drugs can cause addiction, and I thought, I'm better than that. I'll never get addicted to anything. And you don't think you're an addict. Yeah. Really. Even when you are an addict, you don't think you're an addict.
Yeah,
exactly. That's a big part of addiction.
Yeah, denial. A lot of people are in denial. Yeah. Or they say, I can stop doing this, but I don't want to, so why should I? Yeah. But how was your first experience with drugs? I know you tried LSD, which is absolutely crazy at a young age of 11 years old.
Well, I had a mate that was a bit older than me, and he worked in a club.
Right.
Bit
of an influence.
He was always surrounded by older people, and one of these older mates gave him an LSD tab. Well, it tagged a piece of paper, a little paper square, and we split it one night. He cut it in half, give me half, and it wasn't really that overwhelming. I just felt everything was a bit brighter, but that'll stay with me forever. It was my first ever experience with drugs, and it was LSD, and it was not off-putting, just like this shit's for me. And
did that experience make you want to do more?
It was a gateway to everything. Right.
So what harder drugs that lead up after that?
Well, after that, my uncle, I always spent a lot of time with my granddads, and my uncle lived there, and I was a routine kid, I was dead nosy and dead curious, and I opened one of his cig boxes one day, and there was a lump of brown stuff in it, which I didn't know what it was, and it was weed.
Right.
I was 12 at this time, and I took it in school and asked one of my mates, because we were all, the school I was in, most of us were council estate kids. And I asked one of them, and he was like, it's weed, that. So I tried that then. Didn't know what I was doing. You're supposed to burn it and crumble it in your joint, and I was picking it in, and I remember smoking it. It didn't really do anything. So I just... And I didn't get into weed then at 12. I tried it young and just thought, I didn't know what all the fuss was about. And then a few years later, when I properly tried it, it sent me under, and I pulled a whitey, as we say in the UK. But that didn't put me off. I just thought, well, I need to smoke more to get over that, so I can fit in. It was all about fitting in for me.
Yeah.
Because I was always like...
You do at that age.
Yeah, I was always like a bit of a geeky kid. I was tiny and I just wanted to fit in with everyone, and it was... And a single parent, my mum, she did everything. She was, you know, great mum. Dead lucky to have my mum. She's still with me now and she's the best mum in the world.
Oh, that's great.
But your mum's not your dad, and you lose. For me personally, I didn't get an identity. Like I never had that guy to look up to who I'm supposed to be like.
Yeah.
So I chose bits of all the lads that I knew, and he's cool, so I acted a bit like him, and he's cool, and I acted a bit like him, and I kind of built a personality of all the different guys around me that I thought was cool, which it's never a good.
Yeah, when you're that young, it's very easy to choose the wrong kind of person to look up to.
Oh, and I did. I chose like, you know, the sort of naughty kids.
I
thought everyone likes them. Everyone thinks they're mint. So that's how I started behaving. Sort of immature, you know, and selfish. Like my teenage years, my mum was mostly upset all the time with me. I wasn't a kid to be proud of, I don't think. I like school, I was always very intelligent, and I was, in the first couple of years, I did exceptionally well, but I thought, well, I don't want everyone to see me as a geek or a nerd, so I then spent the next 4 years trying to fail in school.
Right, being like a class clown kind of thing.
I chose, I wanted to get into drugs, not just taking them, I wanted to sell them. You know, it was like a career move for me, that very young, I was 16.
So what motivated you to sell it then, at the age of 16?
I think it's a case of, I saw easy money. I thought, oh, it's easy money, and I started selling weed. I moved in with a guy that was a bit of a father figure for me, and he was immature and selfish. I shouldn't have chose, you know, and I moved in with him when I moved out of my mum's house when I was 17, and we started selling weed together.
Right.
But he had like this family that, and because I'm an only child, and it was just me and my mum, so I always craved friendship and that family sort of environment. But then when I had it, I couldn't stand it. Like, oh yeah, I want you to be my best mate, and then when you are, it's like, oh, go away, you're doing me head now. I get them close and then push him away. Still do. That's still a fault now. Still something I'm working on now.
Do you find that in your relationships with women as well?
I think there's only been one woman that I've ever really loved. I've been in 3 sort of relationships throughout my life. Yeah. And then been a typical dickhead single guy in between. And like, there's only one woman that I've really, really loved I met her when I was in my early 20s. And then just stuff got in the way, and then we got back together in our 40s.
Right,
you know,
wow.
A 20-year gap between us.
Yeah. It's crazy how you know, after all that time apart, and then it kind of gets back together again.
Yeah. It's like when we tell the story, it's like, oh, ain't that romantic? But that's not all sunshine and rainbows. No. You know, addiction got in the way there, really. My drinking and drugging got in the way of that. Caused a lot of problems in that. And again, just me.
So, as a drug dealer then at the time, was there any memorable experiences that stands out for you? Like, how was your life like then? You know, living as a dealer and selling drugs?
Well, I was kind of lucky. I was always in a period of... See, it's an awful life to be in now. Even the most successful guys that have got the money and you know, they think they've got everything when really they've got nothing. Life isn't about stuff and cars and you know, it's about, for me it is anyway, it's about being content in yourself. Happiness doesn't come from things. It can make it a bit easier, and money makes life easier, but it's not everything. And
no,
I've just got mostly it's all regret.
Yeah.
From that life. There was some fun times and doing the stuff that everyone thinks it's easy money selling drugs, but it's not.
And
it's a really difficult sort of life.
Yeah. And when you were selling drugs at the time, did it ever dawn on you that you might be destroying young people's lives?
Not until I went to. It does now. Like now, I'm a productive member of society. It does now. Yeah, I think Jesus Christ, the lives I could have spoiled, ruined, and I know it's people's choice to take drugs, but it's not always. A lot of people are taking drugs because they're in a situation that
or
they need to escape from.
Yeah, or they're influenced by older friends.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember also as a young kid, had older friends and you look up to them.
Yeah.
And if they're going to smoke, you're going to think that's a cool thing to do. That's what I should be doing as well.
Well, for me, there's two types of peer pressure. There's direct peer pressure where people are like, oh, what's up with you? It's only a bit of weed, or verbal, like putting you under direct pressure. And then there's indirect pressure, which is that you're talking about, like you see people, you want to be like them. That's still peer pressure. It's just it's your own mind's peer pressure. It's peer pressure you're putting on yourself, and the society that you're part of is societal peer pressure kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's mostly regret. Cars, holidays, lived in nice houses, but it all ended in tears.
You kind of know in the back of your mind where this comes from, like dirty money, as I would say.
I've been kidnapped. I've been stabbed. I've been burned. I've been tortured.
Tell us about the kidnap story.
I was in a flat, one of my mate's flats, and he was selling drugs too. And by this time we was doing weight. We're not selling grams anymore. We're moving kilos, and we was off our head. We was drinking and sniffing, and I've gone out to the car to get something. And as I've come out the flat door, there's two big guys there in ski masks, and I knew what was happening straight away. And I just said, lads, this is nothing to do with me, but they're not going to let you go because you're just going to run off and tell someone. Or so I'm walking this way. They'd rushed me, picked me up under each arm, and it was like a cartoon. My legs are going this way, but I'm moving this way. And they rushed me in the house, threw me in the corner of the room, and my mate, he'd locked himself in the bathroom, in the kitchen, and the kitchen door. He just leant against the kitchen door, but he was massively overweight. He was 29 stone. He just leant against it, and the guy was booting the door, and the door was just going, wasn't moving. So the guy booting the door stabbed me in the leg, and then said, "Here, your mate's just been stabbed. If you don't tell us where the stuff is, he's getting it again." So I just sat there. I was sat on the arm of a couch, and I said, "Yeah, he has stabbed me. He's not lying." But I was dead calm.
You think you were in shock a little bit?
I don't know. I was off my head, weren't I? So I had coke in me and alcohol, so I wasn't really giving a fuck, even though the blood was now in a pool on the floor around my foot, because he'd used a kitchen knife and it went right in my leg. I've still got the scar now. I think you've tattooed over the scar. The guy in the kitchen said, "There's $3 in my wallet and a quarter of flake or something." So they just took that and ran off. Then my mates come out, took me to hospital. And I was having a crack with the nurses, and one of the nurses said to me, "You do know you've been stabbed, don't you? But I've always been dead laid back and never panicked about, I don't really lose my head in bad situations."
That's a good thing.
So about 6 months after this has happened, I'm introduced to this guy, and we click, we get on dead well, and we start selling drugs together ourselves, set a few crops up and moving weight. Easy work. He's got links in Ireland, so we're sticking stuff in tyres and shipping it over to Ireland, and in the post as well, just sending stuff in the post. But he's a good guy, he's got a heart, but where he's grown up, he's in a different area than me, which is a bit naughtier than my area. And his game was, he started out as an armed robber and then he's moved up to robbing drug dealers. And he's telling me a few of the things that he's done and people I know. But that weren't the shocking part that he'd robbed people that I know. It was the people that had set the people I know up, like close friends of theirs. Taking them out to the pub and saying, yeah, he's sat with me now, there's 60 grand in his wardrobe, go and get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, wow.
That's the kind of people you're surrounded with if you're in that world.
Yeah, yeah.
Snakes and, you don't have, that's not what you call true friends, is it?
No.
Have a pint with you in the pub and then tell the others, go rob his place.
Well, that's that life. It's just full of people that are like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of decent guys in it, but...
No, for sure.
But
you're gonna get that.
If they're in it for years, the game twists them up. You know, things start happening to you. You start getting robbed, and things start happening to you, and you start thinking, "Fuck it, this is happening to me. I'm gonna do it." You know?
Yeah.
Why should I be? And that was later on in my time. I was like, wow, I'm just. I was always pretending to be someone I wasn't, because it was never really me. But anyway, the guy who I've started grafting with, he's telling me these things he's been doing, and I remembered his voice, because it's only 6-9 months at the max after I've been stabbed, and I said, say your mate's just been stabbed now. Say what he said to him, your mate's just been stabbed, if you don't tell us where the stuff is, he's getting it again. So as soon as I said it, he just burst out laughing and said, oh, I didn't even know you then. So I said to him, because I got, I think it was 1,500 quid criminal injuries. You get, if you're a victim of crime in this country, even though I was a criminal myself, I got 1,500 quid for getting stabbed in the leg. And I said to him, you could have stabbed me in both legs, because I got 1,500 quid for that. I'd have got 3 grand. He said, yeah, I'll do it now if you want, and you get the other 1,500 quid. But yeah, we're still best mates now. He's still in my life now.
Yeah.
He's sort of turned his life around. He doesn't do anything, because I think the older you get, the more you start to care about the things that you do. The things you do in your 20s, you don't give a fuck. You think you're untouchable. You know everything. No one can tell you anything, and all you're doing is learning off your own mistakes.
Yep.
Because you've not listened to someone. And 9 times out of 10, when you've learned off your own mistake, the mistake you've learned, somebody's told you. Somebody's already told you, and you're like, shit, if I just listened to him, I wouldn't have actually made that mistake. There's an old saying, a clever man learns off his own mistakes. A wise man learns off other people's mistakes.
Yeah.
But that shit comes with age.
Yeah, of course.
I think for me, when you start realising that you know nothing, that's when you start to properly learn.
Yeah. And never think you know it all.
Yeah.
So obviously you got caught a lot with amphetamines mostly. And how did you get caught with 2 kilos? I mean, that's when you got sent away, wasn't it? So
when I think I was 19 or 20, I got arrested with an ounce of amphetamines, and I got away with that. Another bullshit story, and the police even knew I was bullshitting, because they said to me, you can tell our story, you. But my solicitor I said I bought it as protein powder off a guy in the gym.
Right.
And the judge believed me, because I've always when I was younger, I looked really innocent. People used to call me the Milky Bar Kid when I was younger.
Right.
There was an advert in the 80s, and there was this little kid with glasses on and blonde hair.
Yeah.
It's a Milky Bar. And then when I was a bit older, it was Harry Potter.
Okay.
Now I look like his dad. But I got arrested in my teens with an ounce. Then I got arrested later on in my early 30s with a kilo, and I got away with that. I got community service because I said I was bullied into it, and I had drug debts, and I was kind of at war with someone at the time who had petrol bombed my house and petrol bombed my cars. I ran him over in the street. He blamed me for something I didn't do. If you're fucking watching this, cunt. He blamed me for something I didn't do. So he was giving it the big un in the car, following me in the car. He got out the car and I just ploughed into him in my transit van. And then a few days later, he petrol bombed one of my vans and my house. And the house, the cunt knew I had a crop in the house. And so he knew the police were going to come and the fire brigade. And he knew, so to me, that's just like grassing someone up, that.
Yeah.
And he, actually, if you're listening, I forgive you for everything. I got arrested then. I got away with that because I was at war with someone. I said, look, I've been bullied into it. When I said no, they petrol bombed my house and car, which wasn't far from the truth. It was just a bit of an exaggeration of the truth. And the judge said to me then, I'm impressed with what I've read about you because I did a massive pre-sentence report. And he said, I'll give you community service, but if I ever see you again, I'm going to throw the book at you. And then about 8 years later, I get arrested again with 2 kilos. Gone to Liverpool to my mate who stabbed me in the leg.
Yeah.
He rang me. He said, right, we've got some lads that we can work with in Liverpool. Come and pick some stuff. I drove to Liverpool, but the guy that dropped the stuff off, he was under surveillance.
Oh.
He was being followed about. So we've drove back to Manchester to pick some weed up to get to. We was giving the 2 kilos and a kilo of weed to someone, but we didn't get to the weed, thankfully. If they'd have just followed us a bit longer, they'd have got us with more, but they didn't.
Yeah.
And I pulled off the motorway. There was roadblocks and all sorts. Where I couldn't even escape in the car if I wanted to, because in my head I'm thinking, where I came off there was a river near it. I'm like, right, we'll drive to that river, you jump in the river, rip the bag open, and the fucking...
Did you see them following you at this point?
I didn't see them following until I come off the motorway. They kept the distance, but there was 3 Range Rovers following us.
Right.
And then when I came off, the street I turned down to jib away, it was blocked off with 2 CID cars. I wound the window down, the copper said to me, have you ever been done for drug supply? He didn't even ask my name, so it was like he, you know, I don't know whether ANPR had... Like,
yeah.
Knew the, you know, from the registration of the car or whatever. So yeah, we both ended up getting 2 years. But that was the fucking best year of my life, that.
Really?
Completely turned my life around.
So, did you then get sober pretty much going into prison, or did you not do drugs in there?
So, before, in my late 20s, I ended up getting into heroin and crack. Because my mental health was a mess, and I thought, I know what'll fix it. I'll start snorting heroin and coke, which in the moment made you feel like Superman. But then that progressed to speedballs, heroin and crack.
Yeah.
And I was never a full-time junkie. I was too vain to end up a full-time junkie, and I always had money for it. I always had the resources about me, and it didn't seem like a problem until the money ran out. That's when I realised it was a problem. So I was kind of in and out of it. I'd use for a few weeks, and then I'd sort myself out for a few months, and then I'd be back to using, and then I'd be back to sorting myself out. And the longer it went on, the gaps of sobriety were coming shorter, and the length of time of using was becoming longer.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why the guy that stabbed me in the leg, that's another reason he's my best mate. I was living in a house while I was using, and he came and knocked on the door, and I opened the door and he's like, are you still fucking taking that shit? And I was like, yeah. He said, what do you need to do to get off it? So he put me in the car. He said, it's like this, you either go and get your medication sorted out today to get off it, or I'm taking you to a hotel and I'm locking you in there until you're sober. And I was like, right. So we went to the doctors. I had to use that day, which he was, you know, I told him, I said, look, I'm gonna have to use today, but I can't get a doctor's appointment until tomorrow. And I went in, got buprenorphine, and I cleaned myself up for a few years. And there's only 2 people in my life that have done that. Him and another good friend of mine who's still in my life today. Yeah. Not all my bullshit superficial mates that die for you when you're making them loads of money. Oh, I die for you, I take a bullet for you. It's nonsense, because as soon as you ain't got the money, they want to put a bullet in you.
Yeah.
which is another thing. Yeah, shot in the hand. So yeah, I started using, but a year before I went to jail, something just clicked in me. I woke up one day and I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And I stopped using serious drugs a year before I went to prison, and then I got my work boots back on. We started making a few moves in that life, trying to sort my life out, and got arrested immediately. My higher power did something to put me in a good place, which at first I was devastated. I didn't come out myself. When I first went to prison, I didn't come out myself for 3 weeks. I was like, because in my head I thought, they can't keep me in here, I'll be getting out soon. And then I just settled into it. Got into the gym, got a gym, like you get a gym membership there, you get a job there, you can go to education if you want.
In the prison?
In prison, yeah.
It sounds like there's a lot of good opportunities because if I think of, say, South Africa prison, for instance, there's none of that, you know. The prisons is super overcrowded. Yeah. People get raped. I don't know if that's a thing here, where
when I was in prison, there was only one case that I'd heard of, and it was the officers that were telling it me, and a few. There was only one case of rape, but there's a lot of guys in there that are willing to fucking sell their ass for drugs.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's not unless you get some twisted gay guy in there. That's you know, he's into that sort of thing. It's not really. It's not. I'm not saying about other prisons around the world, but in the UK, I don't know what it's like now. It might be different now because this was 8 years ago. Right. You know what I mean? It might have got worse, but there wasn't many cases of that then.
If the prison is like that with all these things, and you've got all these opportunities, and you can do this and that, do you think it's not really much of a deterrent for criminals?
I describe prison as like LinkedIn for criminals. So I could have come out of there and immediately got my old drug dealing work boots back on, because I met loads of decent, you know, there's a lot of, everyone thinks if you're in prison you're a bad person, and it's not the case. There's loads of decent guys in the criminal world and in the you know, just normal people, normal straight members that have had an argument with a wife, and the wife said, "Oh, he's beat me up," and they just lock him up straight away. Yeah. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of women, a lot of guys that do it to women and should be in prison for that, you know, but there's a lot of women that put the boyfriends in jail. You know, they say they've hit them when they haven't, you know. Yeah. And it was a great year for me going to prison. It absolutely turned my life around. I got a work ethic in there which I'd never had before. Never had a work ethic. I saw the value of getting up at regimented times and the, you know, the like I do it.
The structure and
the structure and it keeps your sanity. Yes, you're told what to do every day and you're locked up at certain times. But if you're all right, jail's all right. If you're a dickhead, jail's a dickhead.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, Forest Bank was even the officers when I was going in there. They're saying it's like an holiday camp in here, and for me, it was like a cheap rehab. You know, it was like going into rehab for me. Okay. And it was like a forced rehab that I had no choice to go in, and you're allowed a certain amount of money each week. You can earn money in there, and all you need is, I mean, you could still smoke at the time, but I wasn't a smoker. You know, I don't smoke. You can get, if you don't take drugs, and you get a job in there, and someone sends you 20 quid a week, you are living like a king, you know. Yeah, wow. But there's loads of people in there that are taking drugs and spice.
Yeah, the spice. Tell me about the spice, because obviously it's a big thing I know in Manchester, so and you say it's in prison as well.
So the government decided, it's all right, it's legal. So they left it legal for a couple of years, and then
legal. What makes it legal? Is it ingredients?
It's a fish tranquilizer. They use it for shipping. Shit. When they're shipping fish from farm to market, they're still alive. They put them in big tankers, and they put this chemical in, and it calms them down, so they're not all flapping about and damaging themselves on the way to market or whatever. And some chemist in Amsterdam tweaked it and made it work like it mimics kind of, it mimics THC in the right dose. If you have if you take a little bit of it, it mimics THC. But if you have too much of it, it's a massive psychedelic. But a really, you know, it takes people to bad places. I've seen a guy, when I was in prison, people would do anything for spice because it's really addictive as well.
Yeah. Have you tried it?
Yeah, I tried it a bit when I was when I first went in prison.
What did you think of it?
Well, I never had any bad experiences with it because I'd just have one or two drags and it just makes you feel mellow and stoned like weed does. But one guy that I was padded up with, he's had too much one night and he was like acting like a cat. He was rolling around the floor, meowing and licking his, you know, like trying to lick his balls and and like trying to clean himself like a cat.
Wow.
And another guy ran as fast as he could along the landing. On the ones, ran into the wall at full speed, and I spoke to him the next day, and he said, in my head I was turning the corner, but it's like, and he was unconscious, knocked himself out. I actually seen someone, because they used to call it like Spice in jail. One of its nicknames is Mamba. So the ambulance was there every day. Like the ambulance service was really stretched out because of Spice. They used to call it the Mambulance. Mamba and ambulance. Right, so
why Mamba? They're like the snake.
Because one of the brands, Spice is the same in every packet, but it's the same chemical. They just put it on a smokable like herb, and they put it in different packets, you know, so you think you've got variety.
Yeah.
Well, one of the main ones had a black mamba on it, so it was known as Mamba. Yeah, and
the Mambulance.
Yeah, so the Mambulance was always that. You used to see it all the time. So one night on the wing, we're all out in Soch and somebody's smoked too much spice. And when there's a medical emergency on the wing, everyone gets locked up. Like they put you back in your cells, but you can see what's going on out the window. So a guy, he's gone blue. He's swallowed his own tongue.
Wow.
His respiratory system. Is
that actually a thing? You can actually swallow your tongue?
Well, it's not. It swells up at the back of your mouth. I don't actually know the full medical what happens.
Yeah.
It's not this part of your tongue that goes back. It blocks your throat. I think that's what it is, and it's known as swallowing your tongue. That, you know, don't quote me on that. If there's any doctors listening, I'm not.
Yeah.
So he's gone blue. His heart stopped, and they've had to defib him. They've brought him back round, and then he's gone in the ambulance. So the next day he's come back to the wing. He's like, who's got any spice?
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you fucking mad?
But that's the thing
with died last night.
Yeah.
But he didn't know. He doesn't know that he's overdosed and died.
Oh yeah.
He just thinks he's passed out, gone to hospital, come back, and wants to get stoned again. Yeah,
it's crazy. Like if you look at the people saying. What is that? Skid Row. If somebody dies, they die every day, overdose. Yeah. If somebody dies from an overdose of heroin or something, people are like, what did he have? I want that shit. Yeah. That's good shit.
Yeah.
So if it kills you, people are like, yeah, that's good shit. Or if you OD, fucking that's the one.
Yeah.
I mean, so
in Manchester town centre, in Piccadilly Gardens, you see spice heads, like they just
stand there.
They're doing
like a zombie.
Yeah, in America they call it the dope fiend lean, because they're leaning at angles like Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
No, but the paper cup's always upright, the begging cup.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it. They like magicians. You know, you should get them on stage, because they can always hold that paper cup, the Costa cup.
Yeah.
You know, up straight to collect any change that anyone's given.
So when you came out of prison, what challenges did you face then? Like, obviously you've been in a routine, you found it actually alright, you kind of stay sober.
So I carried on with that busyness. There's industries in Forest Bank, and one of them was a company called Tier 1, and they used to they still do, they recycle computers. Anything that couldn't be resold, they send into Forest Bank, like desktop computers, and there's a workshop where we strip them all down, separate the components, graphics cards, you know, circuit boards would go in one bag, aluminium and metal in another, plastics in another, and it just gets shipped out and recycled. But it was right up my street, because I'm a computer nerd, you know. I'm like,
Yeah.
I was working in there for a couple of weeks, and I saved them loads of money. They were getting rid of DVD writers. That's how long ago it was. There was, you know, it was DVD writers. They were getting rid of them because they thought they couldn't rewrite. And I said to the guy that came in from Tier 1 every few days, I said, go and check this out. You're getting rid of these, and I'm pretty sure you can resell them. He came back in, he said, Mark, you was right. Yeah, you've saved us loads of money there. They were getting about 50 pence for each unit, but there was pallets of them with 500 going on. You know what I mean? So it was 250 quid a pallet to the company. And I was like, oh, nice one. So he mentioned me to his bosses, and then the day I came out, my mum picked me up and drove me to a charity that worked with Tier 1. They said they'll give me a placement, and it was like, Jesus, you're keen. It was like the day I came out of prison, because I didn't want to lose the
momentum.
I weren't going back into that life, and I didn't want to lose the momentum. And I worked with them.
Fair play, mate.
They gave me a job immediately, and then they gave me a contract after 6 weeks, which they were like, this is unheard of. And I was in my own, basically, I was running a department with 3 other guys.
And they knew you were an ex-convict, you just got out. And
They're a decent company that helps people like that. It's called the Through the Gate program.
Right. It's decent that, you know, people get, you know, second chances and given opportunities like...
Which is just what I needed.
Yeah.
Because there is a small percentage of people that go to prison and come out and change their life.
Yeah.
But the majority are just in there as an occupational hazard. And like I say, the connections you get in prison, I had the ability to come out of there and start earning big money, big illegal money straight away.
Yeah.
But I didn't want that, you know, that life.
No.
Even the hardest of the hard in that life, they're still looking over the shoulder, and
of
you know,
course.
they're still like, you know, they might have the ability to beat 10 men up at once, but there might be 20 men that come for them. Do you know what I mean? There's always that. Anytime I see a house that's full of cameras and full of CCTV, I'm like, but he's a drug dealer. You know, like he's up to something, definitely.
And listen, I don't want to
riddled out of his head, sniffing coke with a samurai sword, waiting for someone to come with.
Yeah, you don't want to be looking over your shoulder, man. It's not worth it. But like you say, you know, if that job didn't give you a second chance or whatever, you probably, you know, be more tempted to just go back into the drug life or the criminal life, because 100%. What the hell are you supposed to do if nobody wants to give you a chance?
No. And it's difficult. It's difficult for most people that have got that on the record. But I think there's been some new legislation where, I'm not sure how many years it is. I think it's 3 years, that if you've turned your life around in 3 years and you've not, you know, you've stayed out of trouble and you've proved you've got a job and you're a paying member of society.
Yes.
Not a useless eater, as you know, you're just taking from society. Yeah. It's all about you. You don't have to declare your criminal records, and that's never come up in my career.
Yeah.
I've never had to say. I mean, there's a few people that are close to me in my work, in my industry, that are aware of where I've been, and everyone. Yeah. That's one thing I don't like, the praise that comes from it, you know. Right. Like haven't you done well? I'm like, yeah, but I shouldn't have been doing it in the first place, you know. It's not an achievement to me to stop taking drugs or stop drinking. It's something I shouldn't have been doing in the first place. Yeah, but you know what? Not a lot of people can stop doing it, so you should be. I mean, I appreciate the well wishing. It's not, but it makes me feel a bit like, you know, someone comes at this country's a bit stupid, like with the things they celebrate. Somebody gets a degree or a doctorate, you know, well done, pat on the back, let's go for a few drinks. Someone comes out of jail, there's a street party. Oh yeah. You know, having barbecues and the things that celebrate, the things that they celebrate are celebrated in the wrong, the wrong. It's praised. Oh, he's just done 5 years. Well done, he's now out.
Let's get on it.
Yeah, let's get...
But that's, you're doing it the wrong way then. Yeah. But so, listen, so now everything, you know, was going good. You found a job, you had the structure, you were sober. So what made you fall back into drinking and drugs again?
So I I was when I say I was sober, I might drink a bottle of wine a fortnight, and I wouldn't finish it.
Not excessively.
I was doing nothing to excess. There might have been the odd birthday that I went and I ended up with a bad hangover on, but I'd drink that night and then I'd stop the next day. And when I had my job when I came out of prison, and then I broke my ankle, so I ended up not working there anymore. I was getting a bit bored though, to be honest, and it was a bit of a blessing. Excuse me, a bit of a blessing in disguise that I broke my ankle, because I did a refresher course in engineering. And then I was offered a job in Dublin, and I kind of, when I was working in Dublin, everyone that you're working with, the part of that working away lifestyle, so it's go to work, go to the pub after it, and that started sneaking in, which I didn't think anything of, because I weren't drinking to excess. I was just having a few pints or a few wines, and going home, and then getting up for work every day. But then I got in a relationship. She liked to drink, she liked to sniff coke. So I was on benders every time I was home. Yeah. And I was drinking to excess. I was drinking to the point, I was binge drinking. I became a binge drinking alcoholic when I because I've been single for a long time as well. I've been single for years, and it was all exciting, this new relationship, and I didn't really think that drinking and drugs would be a problem for me until it was. Yeah. Because I was only doing it a weekend, you think, oh, it's not a problem. Yes. But then I'm having ideas of starting selling drugs to all my workmates, and I'm like, what the fuck am I thinking? I'm earning really good money at this point. You know, when I'm contracting and I'm earning really good money. In Dublin, I was on 50 quid an hour. Wow, that's really good money. I'm considering 12 months before I was in prison, or 2 years before I was in prison, and then I'm not. Now I'm, because in my 20s, I had a decent mate that encouraged me to get something to back up. I've still got that decent mate now. He's another one that's still in my life, and he encouraged me to get into building service engineering. And I did in my 20s, but I always had this supplemental income that I didn't need to work. It was for me, the job was a front. You know, people looked at me. I was in a shirt and tie every day and trousers, I never had excessively nice cars or anything. All my mates did. So if I wanted a nice car, I'd go and lend one off my mate. Do you know what I mean? I was never stupid enough to. I just thought that behaviour was stupid, buying a 40, 50 grand car when you've not got a job. So, hello police, come and look at me. Exactly. That's what they do. You know, you are putting the police's noses right out of joint. They're trying to keep the community safe, and they're on. I think they start on minimum wage, coppers. You know, and they all. And
I mean, waitresses has probably earned what, £6 an hour that time or something.
They're doing an upstanding job, looking after the community, and then you've got dickheads driving about in. Sometimes 100 grand car, you know, like supercars and
definitely
things like that.
Pulling attention to yourself.
Half of them can't, you know, a guy that's driving about in a car and he can't read all right. Where are you getting your money from?
Kind of obvious.
that was another thing I was doing in prison. I got in with all the travellers because a lot of them struggle with reading and writing, you know, because and not so much now, but the older guys. They couldn't be asked for school, but it don't mean you're stupid because because you've not been educated and you can't read and write. It doesn't mean you're a stupid person, and that's how society looks at people like that. It just means they've not learned how to do it. And I started teaching them how, English and stuff like that. There was a few of them that pretended that they couldn't read and write, but I was onto it. I knew they could. They just wanted to be in education, and I got some good, decent travelling friends there, which. I've still got now. I met some, you do meet decent people in prison.
I mean,
and some of the best laughs I've had as well were in prison. Fucking hell, some of the things that I seen and the laughs were. I'll have them with me forever. You know what I mean? And I can't really. I remember the first day I was in there. I woke up. I thought, right, I better ring my mum. Because my daughter's mum had told me mum I didn't have the bollocks to tell her. I was thinking of all stories to lie to her, and my daughter's mum, she said, I rang her because my daughter's mum was the only number I knew off by heart.
All right.
Because you don't have your phone to get numbers out, so I rang her. I told her. I was like, oh, tell my daughter I love her, and because we'd not been together for years at this point. And she did the right thing and told me mum. which was good.
Yeah.
And my mum's like, what about the violence? Because, you know, people like my mum, straight, decent, working members of the community like my mum, only think prison's like it is on the TV.
Yeah.
And the TV wants viewers, so they only show the worst of the worst, don't they?
Yeah, of course.
Because society don't want to see it's good in jail. They think, well, they're in prison, they shouldn't have it good.
Yeah.
And she said to me on the phone, she said, what about the violence? I said, Mum, it's not like that. And I was watching someone get their head punched in. But
don't worry, it's all good.
honestly, Mum, it's not like that. And I just watched this guy get boom, 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 boom. I was like, what? Yeah. But the guy who punched his head in, I said, what's he done? He said, he owes me fucking dog. I'm like, right, fair, you know. See what jail's like? It's like a council estate compressed into an even smaller area, because there's there's over 1,000 guys in this place.
And then was it like that? Obviously, the nonces and the pedos are protected, and
that's madness. That it's like they shut the jail down when the nonces come out. They shut the jail down. Like if you're in work, or you move, if you're moving from work back to the wing, or from the wing to the gym, and the nonces are getting out, they shut the jail down. They lock everyone behind the gates they're in, and they're walking past you, and then this guy's spitting at them and fucking, you dirty bastards. There's like a hierarchy in jail of people, and like drug dealers are at the top, then it's armed robbers, then it's house burglars and car thieves, and then it's fucking rapists, and then it's nonces. Nonces are at the bottom. They're the bottom of the bottom. Even house, you know what I mean? House thieves have got a better rep in there.
Yeah.
And that's another thing you don't do in jail. You don't like slag people off for the crimes. You know, they're in there for. You don't like, oh, well, why have you done that? But there was a nonce on our wing, because a lot of them won't go on protection. Because if you're on protection, everyone knows you're a nonce.
Yes.
And so some of them try and blend on the wings, but all it takes is you to ring up and go, Google this, ring your bird, or ring someone you know, or Google this name. And they Google it and it comes, and so there was 2 instances of that. One guy was a nonce, and as soon as the wing found out, everyone was going up to his door, pissing through the gap and fucking, you know, like...
Must be hell for him then.
Well, you know, the guy's a fucking pedo, what's he expecting?
No, of course.
But this particular one was in the gym. I'm not joking, his legs were like that, yeah? And he was deadlifting about 250 kg. I'm like, I'm training with you tomorrow, mate. How the fuck have you got up to that weight? Thinking, you know, because he was only dead slight. He weren't a juice head or nothing like that. He was dead thin, and he was deadlifting 250 kg. I'm like, oh, I'm training with you tomorrow. And we got back to the wing, and there's a newspaper on the tables with what he'd done. Yeah, so everyone's like that to me. Mark, you're still training with him tomorrow? I'm like, fuck me. They're all pissing through his door and fucking, yeah. And then there was another guy, this little African fella, and he was dead quiet and didn't speak, and he was in the military, and he was in like some Prince Charles regiment of tank commanders. I'm not sure where he was from in Africa, but we got back to the wing, and he was all right. But it kicked off one day in the industries where we was working, and these big muscly lads picking on him. But he was only small, and he was like, "I am not scared of you," and he didn't. But you know, he didn't move. You could tell there was something about him for his size. There was something about him. So anyway, we've got back to the wing, and somebody had found the report in the Manchester Evening News, and it was a picture of him in his regiment, sat on the tank with Prince Charles, like doing some visit. And then he'd gone to his ex-bird's house while she was with a new boyfriend, broke in the house, got in the wardrobe, waited for her to come back from a night out, and stabbed her about 27 times. Like, you know, a proper frenzied attack, stabbed her, and it was only in Rochdale.
Yeah.
But I think he was shipped out after that because Forest Bank's only a Cat C or I can't remember. It's not for murderers and people. It's a remand prison really. And people doing short sentences. If you're doing a big sentence, you go to a different prison.
Yeah.
But yeah, the nonces, they shut the full prison down when they're moving about, but they still get loads of stick, and I'm sorry, but quite rightly too. it started in Wakefield Prison, that nonce, because it's an abbreviation. Well, there's two sort of rumours where it started. It means not on normal court exercise or something like that, or because they have to go out on their own. And then there's another one that suggests it means not of normal criminal element, not because they're criminals, but they're fucking warped criminals. Yeah. But like I do, when people say to me, "How was it?" I'm like, "I loved it." I wouldn't want to go back, you know, obviously, because you lose your. I had to lie to my daughter for a year because she was still young. She was still in primary school. Because I know she was at that age where, and she's dead confident. My daughter, if she knew I was in prison, she'd have wanted to come and see me.
Yeah.
You know, she'd have thrived off the adventure of it, going in prison, and I didn't want that. I didn't want her to be exposed to that at such a young age.
Don't. Yeah, you don't. You want to set a good example.
Yeah.
And you don't want to expose your daughter to that and thinking that's okay.
I told her I was working on an oil rig.
And now, how old is she now?
19.
And is she holding anything against you, or?
She felt like when I taught, she got a bit older. She got about 13, I think, or maybe 12, and she started developing, and it was like, and so I told her. She said, "Oh, do you remember when you was working away?" I said, "Look, sit down. I need to tell you something." And I told her, and she kind of fell out with me for a while because it was a year, wasn't it? A year that I lied to her, but she's not.
But you kind of wanted to protect her,
yeah,
right?
I did, and I still think I did the right thing. It wasn't easy lying to her because we've got a really good relationship. Sometimes it's a bit. I feel like I should have set more boundaries with her. She's in uni. She's in university, and she's doing all right in university. But we're close. But you know, there's times where we're like mates, and I feel like that. It's sometimes a good thing, but it's sometimes a bad thing because there should be boundaries between parents and children. You know.
Do you think she sometimes won't really listen much to what you say just because you were in prison? And it's almost like,
she doesn't think like,
right.
Oh well, what do you know?
You're still a dad, you know what I mean?
I know she looks up to me, and I'm still somewhat her hero.
Yes,
kind of thing.
Of course.
And we have. I mean, she's fell out with me at the minute. I never fall out with her. It doesn't matter. You know, I can be annoyed with her, and I voice my opinion and tell her I'm annoyed, and she'll fall out with me. But the second she's like, "Hey, Dad," I'm not like holding a grudge or I never fall out with her. She's my daughter. I put her here. She didn't ask to be put here.
Yeah.
She's got a difficult enough life, but sometimes I think she makes it more difficult for herself, and I'm trying to help her avoid that.
So what was the turning point for you where you decided, okay, I'm gonna go sober now for good?
So it's been cocaine and alcohol for 5-6 years since came out of prison. Did well being 90% sober, no drugs or drink, just the odd bottle of wine, playing Xbox, and simple life, earning peanuts, never looking over my shoulder, feeling comfortable, relaxed, pretty happy. Got in a relationship, and it started there, and then I ended that relationship because it wasn't for me, and then I went on, and I was starting to think about serious drugs. Then I'd moved in a house. I was renting a house, decent enough house, but I was earning really good money back in the UK. I'd come back from Ireland, and I was earning really good money, not pretty close to what I was earning in Ireland, but I'm not having to travel over there and pay 2 sets of bills, you know, because I've got to have a home in Ireland and a home back in Manchester.
Yeah.
So I got another good job, which I'm still in now. I'm still in the same place, which is the longest period of work. When you add up what jobs I've had through my life, it's a shorter period of time than where I've worked now in this one place.
Yes.
Yeah. And I started thinking about hard drugs. I'll just have a one-off treat, and that's how an addict's mind works.
Yeah.
You know, it's your addict voice telling you to, you know, it'll be all right, just the once. And I went and did an ayahuasca ceremony,
Oh.
Because it's supposed to reset all your addiction triggers.
Yeah. Which one did you do? Did you do like a proper one in the jungle?
No,
or was it more like
it was like a glamping sort of ayahuasca ceremony. I went to Holland. I went to Amsterdam, but it was like in a big mansion, like a footballer's mansion. On the way to it, the taxi driver's like, "Yes, this is where all the footballers live. You know, this is a very affluent area. You will like it here." And the houses were massive. And there was about 20 other people there, and you spend 3 days in this house. The first day is a Cambo ceremony where you have this frog poison and it purges your body of all toxins and does it purge your body? I was blowing out of every hole after it.
Really?
Yeah.
Weren't you scared, feeling like you're gonna die or something?
Your heart starts racing and my head shape-shifted into... I turned into somebody else. I looked like a toad, a giant toad, when I looked in the mirror, and it wasn't a hallucination, because when I came back down from the toilet, the shaman lady that was running the ceremony, she said, when I came back down, she was like, "Yes, Mark, I thought you was a different person, a random guy that just walked in off the street, and I didn't recognize you for a minute because your face changed shape." I was like...
Good impression.
Honestly, when I looked in the mirror, it was like, who the fuck's that looking back at me? It was another... Anyway, it calmed down. I didn't have any more ayahuasca, and then, Cambo. And then two nights after that, it's 2 ayahuasca ceremonies, which was a beautiful experience.
So it's like a 3-night thing.
Yeah.
And...
I would recommend it to anyone that's got any mental health issues. Go and do an ayahuasca ceremony, because I went out there for addiction therapy, and I came back having loads of questions answered. Like, I've got a son that I don't have any contact with, which is his choice, not mine. I've tried to reach out to him multiple times, and he just doesn't want to know, and I don't understand why. Even if, if you didn't want to speak to me for the rest of my life, then that's his choice. Just tell me why, and maybe I can work on it. Maybe I can't fix the past, but I can do something about the future.
Maybe, it also depends what the mother tells him.
Yeah, I've got a good... I'm 90% that she's had a bit of influence on his decision not to see me, because he was 11 years old, or 10 years old when he rang me and said, "I don't want to see you anymore." But a decent responsible parent would ring me and say, "Look, your son's got issues with you.
Yeah.
He's saying he don't want to see you." I'm like, right, how can I fix it?
Yeah. I think the worst thing a mother can do is keeping the child to see the dad. Yeah. And a lot of them do it because they want to punish the dad. Yeah. But you know what? You're doing no injustice to the kid. And that kid's going to hold it against you when they get older.
He might have grew up thinking I was a dickhead and not wanting, but then that's his choice. Then he's learned his own way. Yeah. He's got to be thinking now, well, I wonder what he's like. I wonder what...
I think when they get older... I never met my real dad, and I'm 36 years old now. And even till today, mate, if I knew where he was, because my mom don't remember wedding date, birth date, nothing. So I can't even find this guy.
Right.
And, I've tried over the years, and I'm 36, mate, and I would still, I think, because he was very old at the time when I had me, and then they split up. So he's probably dead.
Right.
But I'd like to think maybe I'll meet him. Yeah. And so I'm sure your son will reach out.
Well, I do hope so.
As he gets older.
I'm in a similar situation with I touched before on that I'm a single parent. Like I say, my mum did everything, but my dad didn't. I've met him a few times and spent a Christmas at his house, but he was never interested in me. He was always interested in my mum. Even when he came to see me, it was never about me.
Yeah.
Ever. And I don't understand that. I'd like to know, if he said, "I just didn't want to be a dad." He's got 2 other sons. I've got 2 half-brothers, step-brothers. I'm not which one. It's half-brothers.
Yeah.
In Middlesbrough. And I just don't. I've tried to reach out to one of them as well, but I don't know. I mostly done it when I was drunk, when I was drinking, and...
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully that situation might turn around.
So, I know you also started doing jiu-jitsu And I think you were still, you know, drinking
Yeah,
and stuff at the time.
And sniffing, yeah. And
so is it jiu-jitsu that made you kind of helped you to stop?
I've always kind of gone to the gym, and then I was driving past SBG in Rochdale, which is quite a SBG is quite a famous name in it's where Conor McGregor trains in Dublin, SBG.
Yes.
And I've drove past it for 5 years, but never had the minerals to go in there. I'm like, I'd love to go in there and learn something, just to learn something.
Yeah.
And I've always been in the gym, and I was working with a PT, and I worked with him for about a year, and we became friends. I get on really well. I still speak to him now, and he was like, I'm changing jobs, I'm leaving the gym that he was, and I was like, what about me? And he said, but and he touched on grappling. He said, I'm gonna start grappling again. And I was like, where? And he said, SBG, where I drive past. I said, can I come with you? Because, you know, I needed someone to fucking hold me hand to get in there.
Yeah.
And I went and did a taster session. That was it. I was hooked. I bought a gi that night, and I came back. It was only a fundamentals course, you know, the basics.
Yes.
But my mental health was getting in the way, the drinking and the drugging, and I was... An addict is addicted to anything they like. You're not, you know, it's not... Alcohol's not a problem. I'm the problem.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? A bottle of drink is a bottle of drink. It's not a problem until it gets inside me.
Yeah.
And everything is an addiction for me. If I like something, I get addicted to it. I research it in and out. It's all I'm thinking about. And I was getting withdrawal symptoms from not going. Not withdrawal like physical, but mental, like, someone's getting better than me, they're going to learn more than me, and I'm beating myself up. But while I was there, there's a program through SBG called Road to Recovery.
Yes.
And that, as SBG and Road to Recovery, has changed my fucking life in ways that, some difficult ways, but mostly positive ways.
Yes.
It's just, I mean, like, jiu-jitsu is a very vulnerable sport. To learn it, you've got to get beat up a lot.
Yeah.
It's not, and a lot of people see that as a negative, and it's a hard thing, it's a hard battle, especially at my age, 48, because it's very physically demanding as well.
Good thing about jiu-jitsu, you can be any age and start.
Yeah, of course you can. It is it's a beautiful sport. It's
very technical,
and that's what I like about it.
It's very difficult as well. That's why a lot of people, you know, don't go through with it.
It's a difficult thing to put yourself through. You know you're going to get twisted up, and you're getting twisted up of, like, higher belts. It doesn't matter what, you know, if you're rolling with a purple belt, there can be, you know, I can roll with a 7-stone woman and she's twisting me up.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Like, but the most important step you took was getting the, you know, like you say, have the minerals to just go into the gym. Even that is like a massive thing, because I think there's a lot more people that want to do martial arts, but they find the idea of walking into the gym very scary, very, you know.
One of the main coaches, one of the owners of SPG put a post on, and it rang true with me, because this is how I've always seen places like that. When you're growing up, the only sort of hard men you're aware of are usually, you're aware of them because they're bullies and they want everyone to know they're hard. You know, they're knocking people out left, right, and centre, and you just got this. Anyone that's hard is a dick, kind of.
Yeah.
You know, anyone that can fight must be an arsehole, because the real true hard men, the one that's actually can really fight, and they're not bothered about people knowing.
Yeah.
You know, and because the decent hard guys in the world, they're not about broadcasting the fact that they're hard, and they're not going around beating people up because they want everyone to know. And that's what these gyms are full of. Yeah. Brilliant people that want to help you and want to help you progress and learn. And the coach, Stapes, he's a world champion MMA. You know, he's a top guy.
Yeah.
He talks, you know, it's like, he's a great guy, and he said he put a post on SBG's Facebook page saying exactly that. Everyone's got this opinion that everyone in here is all hard dickheads, and it's not. And he said, this place is a good cunt hunter.
Yeah.
If you're a cunt and you're coming in there to just fucking hurt people and snap, you know, like,
It will quickly humble you, for sure.
It'll quickly humble you.
Yeah.
And two, people don't want to train with dickheads.
No. And the thing is, there's nothing quite as jiu-jitsu that will teach you how useless you actually are. You know,
like how completely defenseless you are.
Yeah. I mean, you go in, you might think, I'm a hard guy or whatever.
Or you've watched loads of MMA fights and you think, I can do an armbar, I can do it.
And then you go in and a dude that looks like Dexter's Laboratory, little kid, will fold you in half, mate. Like, even if he's a white belt that's been doing it for 2 years or whatever.
6 months. If someone's done it for 6 months and you haven't, you're just like...
And then you just realize, oh shit, I can't even get off my back. Or this guy, you know, they just twist you up. And it's really, really humbling. And what a great sport it is, you know, for the mind and stuff. And people that say, oh, it's fucking boring, you know, see people hugging and rolling. Mate, there's a lot more to it than hugging and rolling. Trust me, like, don't knock it till you try it. And it is...
I would recommend it anyone to just give it a go.
And it's a good environment, good people.
Yeah, they're all good group. Like everyone's trying to help people progress, and you know, someone might submit you, but they'll say, right, here's where you went wrong there. You shouldn't have done this, or you shouldn't have done that, or try this next time, or try it now. Try instead of doing that, do this.
And like you say, there might be bullies. They do go to these gyms, and then they feel like I can take on anyone or the black belt and a bit of disrespect. And when they get humbled, they're a bit embarrassed, and they kind of they don't come back.
Then, because that level of personality.
Exactly.
Is,
until you learn to leave your shit at the door and humble yourself, then you can come and enjoy it. But that's why it's such a good community, because the people who's there, the majority don't have these egos and shit. You know, you're there to get better. You're there to enjoy the environment. And it's a personal journey, you know, as well.
Which is different for everyone. You know, everyone's got their own reason for going there. And
I mean, I absolutely love it. You know, we've been talking, I've got this thing in my hips. Very weird. We're still trying to find out what it is. I had it for since I was 16 years old, so 20 years. Pain in my hips that come and go. And sometimes I would have it maybe for 4 days on, and then it disappears for weeks or months. And the last year almost, I've been struggling really with it. The pain is there, crippling. And I can do things, go to the gym, walk, but sometimes it's almost like it flares up, and it stops me from doing it. And it does play on my mind, because I feel I want to do things, I want to be active. And I've not cancelled my membership, and I've not even been in over 2 months. But because I know I want to go back, and I really need to go back.
Your hips are the pivotal part of your
hips don't lie,
arsenal, aren't they, in jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, mate, all the rolling on the floor and stuff. But it is amazing, I agree with you. And the road to recovery, that must be awesome, because now you deal with loads of people who struggle with addiction.
We're all like, it's like a family, honestly. We had to do our main coach that started Road to Recovery, he said, right, we just say one word that makes you think, or, you know, when I say Road to Recovery, you just give me a word or a saying that he thinks, and one of the lads said family, and that's exactly what it is. But I get, you see, SBG's the same, you know, there's a lot of guys in there that don't need recovery help, and they're all, you see them all, they're all a big family, they all roll. When you're rolling with someone, it's a very intimate sport, you know. Jesus, my daughter's boyfriend, I took him a few times, and when we was at one of our family events, I was drinking at the time, thinking I was being dead funny, and my daughter was saying something, and I was like, what are you on about? I've had these bottles in my face more than you have. And then I was like, and I had to say immediately, shut up now, before you know, because I knew, because she's smart and quick, and I knew she'd come back with something. I was like, don't say another word. But it is, you know, you've got people's like intimate parts of the body all over you, and there's a lot of memes, isn't there, keep jiu-jitsu gay, because it's men that are in position. When I showed my partner a video of it, she's like, y'all look like you're having sex. It's like one massive grappling orgy. Yeah, but it is. So from that vulnerability of allowing yourself to be twisted up on the mats, then in Roll to Recovery, you've allowed yourself to be physically vulnerable with all the other guys in the group. So it's easier to open up and be mentally vulnerable as well, because we're on a Saturday. I go to Alcoholics Anonymous meetings and I kind of mention Roll to Recovery. Oh, fucking hell, I mention it to people I brush past in the street that I've never seen before. Oh, do you know about Roll to Recovery? Because it's a big part of me. I love it that much. When people ask me what it's about, it's not unlike Alcoholics Anonymous. We all sit, we share. Our coach is promoting the 12-step program from AA to us and telling us to, it might be a good idea to go to Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, which I didn't see the benefit in at first, but now I go to them, I'm loving them as well. But we all sit around, we get in at 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning, we sit on the mats, we all share randomness, how the week's going, if you're struggling with anything, if you're depressed about anything, and we help each other like that. And then after we all try and pull each other's arms and legs off for an hour and a half.
Great.
Yeah, it's completely unique. It's not actually. There are other things like that. There's a couple of other services. There's one in Yorkshire. I can't remember the name of it. But there's another couple of guys that do the same thing and I'm surprised how many young people I see. Because in Roll to Recovery, there's me and one other guy that are both 48. He's a purple belt though, so he's been doing jiu-jitsu for years. So, and he looks like a Viking. He's from Poland. Great guy, and he's just doing personal security. He's just passed his personal security certification, so he can look after VIPs. And I was like, if I was in a position where I needed looking after, I definitely want him looking after me, what I mean? He's at Wimbledon, he's working at Wimbledon. There's two guys actually working at Wimbledon, doing security at Wimbledon at the minute. Two of our guys from Roll to Recovery that are down in Wimbledon, looking like the Blues Brothers with the shades on and the black suits. and they look the part. They don't just look the part, they're capable of, they both are the part, you wouldn't want to, if anyone tries anything with any of the guys they're looking after, they are getting twisted up.
Yeah. So what would you say was your biggest struggle being sober? The biggest struggles that you faced?
Well, my relationship took a big kick in it.
Yeah.
We actually separated, but we're kind of working back together because we spent 5 years doing sort of Instagrammable stuff, going and skydiving and theme parks and holidays. And we had some great times, really, really good memories that my best memories. Yeah. Without a doubt are with my partner. I say partner lightly because we're living separately in a minute, but things are looking very positive and we're talking and we're working on things. But we were both drinking a lot and using cocaine a lot. Yeah. So we were stagnated. We weren't getting anywhere. We wanted to move, get a bigger house, and my career's kind of took a hit. Not that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but that's all I'm doing. I'm just doing what's necessary in life to keep going. And my career started in 2016 when I came out of prison. Not in my 20s or my teens when most normal people started. Mine started at 40. And I've loved that, and I've still got the buzz of ambition, and I've got that back now I'm sober. But the most difficult, moving out of my home, losing my family, which I sort of deep down sort of knew that wasn't always going to be the case. But it was really difficult for my partner, who's now wanting sobriety. She now, she can see the benefits because people say it's like a superpower. I used to hear it and think, what the fuck are you on about, you boring bastard? I used to look at people that didn't drink and I'd say it to them. I say, I don't fucking trust people that don't drink me. What's up with you? Yeah. Well, that's me just being selfish and immature and not seeing their side of things. Like What do I know about their life? Nothing. Do I know they've had a drink problem, a drug problem? No, they're just being sober. So when people say, do you want a drink? Which is one of the difficult things, you know, fitting in and sociably. Yeah. Everything's round drink, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you go somewhere, do you want a drink? We went to see a couple of the lads from the gym fight a few Fridays ago in Liverpool. And I parked the car, walk into the venue. Two guys approached me and said, hey lad, do you want a bag of Charlie? I'm like, mate, I've been sober for 9 months. He's like, oh lad, get in there, well done mate, fucking hell. And I'm like, he's like, right, I won't sell it to you. Even if you ask me for it, I won't sell it to you. I'm like, mate, he said, have you got a ciggy, mate? I'm like, I don't smoke. He's like, fucking hell, you're doing it proper, you aren't you? I was like, yeah, I'm proper boring, mate. And he was funny about it all, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we went in the venue, everyone's drinking, and but there's a group of us going to watch the lads fight. All the Road to Recovery people are there.
Yes.
We're all there as a unit, and so you've got a strength from that. We went to the Christmas do, SBG's Christmas do, and all those boring guys were sat on a table together, and you could just see everyone getting steaming, like stood at the bar, swaying, and jaws going everywhere because they're in and out the toilet, sniffing, and it's like, I never think, oh, look at the state of you. I just think, wow, that was me.
Yeah.
You know, I don't look down my nose at them, and because for some people, that's not a problem. You know, they do it on a Friday night, and then they get up and they're still living life. Yeah, they're still doing what they should be doing. I couldn't do that. I'll finish work on a Friday. I'll get home, open the wine, let's get a bag. Yeah, because where I'm living, it's on tap now. People are working this shit 24 hours. Do you know what I mean? I still get text messages on my phone from people I can't even remember. I've asked for the number for on 35, 70 quid, or half a team for such amount of money, and I just block them straight away. Not because I've got the urge, because I'd only ever sniff coke when I was drinking. Well, saying that, when I sobered up, I stopped drinking. I carried on sniffing coke for six weeks every day.
Every day?
Not like having lines or anything, just a little bump here and a little bump there, but my mental health was in that much of the toilet. It was making me feel different, it wasn't making me feel good. Yeah. I still felt mentally horrendous. Yeah. It was just making me feel different.
And can you tell us more about your very good friend who was dying from the drink and how that influenced you to go sober?
So growing up, I had a very good friend of mine, best mate all my life really. Nightmare, because he was an alcoholic, serious alcoholic. When he told me he was off the beer, he was drinking fruit cider, whatever it's called.
Copperberg and
Copperbergs. Yeah, that was him being sober.
Right. Okay.
And
because it's like a cool drink.
Yeah, and he got to the point where his liver was finished, and if he has another drink, he won't see the year out. This was last year, and I knew this, and he was like telling me bullshit stories. If you give me a bit of your liver, they'll attach it to mine and it'll regenerate mine. I'm like, I have never heard that in my fucking life. Yeah, the liver's an amazing organ.
It can regrow.
Amazing, yeah. But once it's scarred, it's got cirrhosis, then it's
done. Yeah.
But it's a giant organ, and it can, you can still work with half a liver. But his was that fucked. Another drink. Yeah. So then, towards the end of the year, he's in hospital. He's disappeared for a week, and I used to speak to him every day, and I'm trying to find him. Then the internet's trying to find him. Everyone on Facebook, it's not looking good for him. So his sister and one of his sons has gone to his flat, opened the door. He was yellow from head to toe. His stomach's out here because when your liver stops working, you stop getting rid of bile.
Swelling,
your bile just gets pumped into your body. So he looked pregnant. They've rushed him into hospital and basically said, look, this is it. And I found out in work, and I absolutely broke down like a child. Like, wow. And this was October. Yeah. And I thought, right, I'm doing Stoptober. And the stubborn bastard still stayed alive for 3 or 4 weeks after it, because he didn't die till end of November.
Wow.
So he was a funny guy, and he was a natural grappler as well. Like,
Yeah.
He never did it, you know, he never went and trained it, but he was natural. He used to twist me up in the pub with one arm, stood up, and I'd be on the floor like, he'd be choking myself out, and he's only done it with one arm. And so he's got 3 sons, one that he had when he was in school, like 15, and he doesn't have anything to do with. He's been brought up with another dad. An older one who's 27, I think, 27, 28, and then a younger lad who's 14 now. And I've watched him go from the strong mate I knew to a skeleton in a bed and then eventually die. And even though I knew it was happening and I knew it was going to come, it destroyed me really.
Yeah, you can never fully prepare.
He was the only friend that I never pulled a single punch with verbally. You know, if I said everything that was on my mind, as he did with me. I mean, he lied to me a lot about his drinking, but everything was, there was no hidden words. Do you know what I mean? I was 100% honest about everything, and it was a lot of arguments, 100% honest arguments. And yeah, then he died, so that was it then. I was doing it, I was sober. I joined Road to Recovery in the November, and then my mate finally died, and it was a good share for the group. You know, I was like, look, I'm living with someone dying from alcohol, so because there's a good number of young guys in it that are sobered up, and which is amazing. I wish I could have done that. And yeah, he died, and that was it. It was like, I'm sober now. I'm not going to drink again. But then, about 7 months into sobriety, the voices start. You know, dickhead Marc's there. Just have 1 can. Because like I say, I'm separated from my partner. We're not living together. The guy that I'm living with drinks every day. You know, but again, he gets up for work. He doesn't. You know, he lives his life, but he is a functioning alcoholic. And he gets on it at weekend as well. You know, he likes a bag of Charlie, and that doesn't, at first I thought it's not a problem, but the voice is like, just have 1 can. And I got rid of it straight away, but that's what made me start going to AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. And that's worked as well. That's a brilliant fellowship.
Yeah.
It's a bit dated. I find some of the stuff dated, you know, like I'm reading the book, it's called The Big Book, and and it was written in 1935, and the narrative's not changed. It's not been, you know, there's been a few editions, but when you're reading it, it's an American book, and every time I'm reading it, I'm like, hello, yes, this is, I'm not going to take a drink today. A 1935 like commentator. Yesterday I took a drink, but I'm not going to do it today.
So you got to try and take it serious and read it in that voice.
Yeah, but there's a new one. There's one called the Sarcastic Big Book, which is a modern day version of it. So I'm going to read the Big Book, and then I'm going to read the Sarcastic Big Book and compare the two.
Yeah.
But the 12, you know, doing the 12 steps, I'm on kind of step 4. I'm I'm scared about the making amends one. You know, like saying sorry to people, because that's going to be a big fucking list. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, man.
I'm probably overthinking it. Like most people will be like, "What are you on about? Shut up, you daft cunt." I've not given it a second thought.
Yeah. Yeah, I think as people we tend to overthink things in general. You know, think it's going to be so much worse. This is another thing. You know, when you play a story of, say, there's a guy in the office and you're gonna have a fallout with him or something, and on your way to work, you wake up anxious, you play off this whole thing, you brush your teeth and you're thinking what's going to be said, or how is it going to be staring at each other when you walk into the office. And, you know, I've done this before, and going on my way to the tattoo studio thinking, because of the previous night there was drinking and things were said, and I was thinking, now I'm going in feeling like I'm going, you know, to go in with an argument or fighting with somebody. And I was so worked up my whole morning, like a tense, worked up, because I'm playing this whole thing in my head. Got into the shop and the guy said, "Good morning, bro." And I was like, "Hey, good morning." Not what I expected, but anyway, I'll go with it, you know. But yeah, I think we tend to overthink stuff and
definitely
stress about shit that 99% of the time don't even happen.
The hardest battles are always in the mind, aren't they? And it's never as bad as you imagine it.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
To try and enjoy this present.
Yeah.
Because you think of the future, you're going to be anxious. You think of the past, you're feeling depressed. So you got to just kind of live in the moment. Because nothing's guaranteed, is it?
No. It's it's a mad journey, life, and nobody prepares you for it, really.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody and I don't even think you'd listen when you're young. If somebody said, "Listen, dickhead, life's shit. You know, it's hard. It's what you make it. You get." Because I've been fairly lucky with life. Everything's kind of fell in my lap. You know, I've never really, apart from when I came out of prison, I worked my bollocks off to get where I am. You know, I've really. Because that was where I got my work ethic and realised you get you get out what you put in. You don't just sit there, but you know, and it is a bad thing. It makes you weak. Things falling in your lap.
Yeah,
it's a weakness. That it's not strength building.
Yeah.
It's a weakness. You know, it's like food. When you're hungry, you go and get it. It don't come to you, does it?
Yeah.
You know.
So, what are some of the positive experiences that you've had going sober?
The clarity and the emotional strength and resilience that you get from it. Like, what a lot of people don't know about alcohol is you can just drink a couple of glasses of wine a week and it creates anxiety. It produces cortisol for days after you've and
that's a depressant, isn't it?
That's the stress hormone. People used to say, like, I drink because I'm anxious, and the truth of it is, no, you're anxious because you drink. Yeah. So it's so bad for your mental health. It's for the 6 or 8 hours that you're drinking. It's the best anxiety medication in the world. Yeah. But the fucking side effects. You know, if I had on the bottle, the side effect, like drug box, you know, paracetamol, you might feel a bit nauseous, if it said all the fucking side effects on the back, people still would drink.
Yeah.
You know, but the list of side effects would be massive.
There's nothing positive, like, the only positive thing I can ever think of drinking is it makes you calm a bit. You know, when the first 2 drinks, when you're getting a little bit tipsy and you're in a social environment and you can speak easier with a crowd of people. But you must learn to do that sober, right?
Yeah.
But the biggest advice I can give someone going sober, don't hang out in pubs straight away.
Or
give it a year or 2.
At least a year.
And ease yourself, because like they say, you hang out long enough in a barber, you're going to get a haircut, right?
Well, I'm the same with, like, when people say to me, oh, you come to the pub, I'm like, no, I'm sober.
Yeah.
Well, have a coke.
What must you do there? Hang around and...
Well, I say, when I gave up heroin and crack, I didn't go and sit in a fucking crack den and socialise with the crackheads. No. Do you know what I mean? I stayed the fuck away from it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the same with alcohol. You've got to stay away from those situations. And my coach at Road to Recovery, he said... He said, if you're not a year in sober, avoid situations like Christmas works dues and things like that. And when my mate died, I was signed up for the works Christmas do, and I was like, my coach was saying, no, don't go. He never forces his opinion, he just gives his opinion and lets you work it out for yourself.
Yeah, you're grown up, you got to decide.
And he said, stay away from any social events, and I was like, but then when my mate died, I was like, Mike, you're right, I'm not strong enough. If I go to this, and how at his funeral, he died, people having shots at 11 o'clock in the morning. The guys died from alcohol, and people having fucking shots at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly.
Like,
that's the way. There's somebody we know died, and then from drug overdose and cocaine and whatever. So the family at his funeral, it was quite a rough bunch, but at his funeral, they were doing lines of his casket, and in tribute to him.
This is what he would have wanted.
Yeah. And I thought to myself,
a pal of mine died from he had throat cancer.
Yeah.
And he was a heavy weed smoker. You know, smoked weed all his life, but put loads of tobacco as well. And they were throwing buds when the coffin was fucking. We're all throwing fucking buds of weed in it. I'm like, what the fuck? I felt like jumping in and getting them out.
Yeah.
Well, what's he going to do with that? No, fucking dead.
Maybe they'll grow a tree out there.
Yeah.
But deep, but yeah. What advice would you give someone struggling with addiction?
Don't try and do it on your own. Don't. It's not unheard of people sobering up and doing it on their own, but you need support, you need help, you need to change your habits. It's a big process. Stopping something, like alcohol, is the worst thing to withdraw off. I've withdrew off heroin, off alcohol, and I'd rather withdraw off any heroin any day of the week.
Yeah.
Which is a horrendous thing. It's horrible withdrawing off heroin, but the alcohol withdrawal, I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle a hangover. I'd drink immediately. As soon as I woke up, I'd be drinking straight away to get rid of that roughness and that. But yeah, the best advice for me, you see, it's different for everyone, but for me personally, it's reaching out and having support. Like in AA, you have a sponsor, so when you're struggling, you can ring them, and you know, you tell them what you're struggling with, they'll help you because they've been through it and they've got sober. Some of the guys at the AA meetings have been sober for 20 odd years, you know.
Yeah.
There's one guy that's been done 30 years and still comes to the meetings because he needs that. It's the sharing, it's listening to other people, it inspires you. One guy came, it was his second meeting, and I could see the alcohol pumping. He'd not had a drink that day, and he was saying, "I'm hoping this meeting's gonna, you know, I'm gonna stay sober for today." But he was still, you know, it's a horrible withdrawal of alcohol. It's the only withdrawal that can kill you.
Yep.
You know, you have to ease out of an alcohol withdrawal. You can't just stop because it can, like, you can go into seizures and the hallucinations too. That, you know, from an everyday heavy drinker, the hallucinations they get. I was told a story of one woman. She thought there were people sat next to her on the couch, like she was seeing. It was just her pillows and a throw.
Yeah.
You know, when she realised and felt it, but it had turned into a person that she was talking to. That's
when you reach DTs. That's very dangerous.
Delirium tremens.
Yeah, that's not where you want to be.
No, it's an amazing step to do it, but it's a difficult thing to do. And you know, anyone that's thinking of doing it on their own, fair play if you can do it on your own.
Yeah.
But that's a minority of sober people that do it on their own. The majority need the support, need meetings, need a community of like-minded people. If you're trying to give up and everyone around you is still drinking and you're with the people that you're used to drinking with, you're not gonna, you know, it's like a relationship. If one of you wants to get sober and the other one doesn't, it's not gonna happen.
Exactly.
Especially if you've both got a drink problem. You know, there are relationships where one person's a very light drinker and they continue to drink, and that's not an issue. The heavy drinker with the drink problem stops, and the partner can still drink because they're only drinking at small amounts, and it's not, you know, they might have the odd glass of wine but then you kind of expect the support from your partner, wouldn't you? You know, you'd want your partner to. But yeah, the best advice: don't do it on your own, and create a circle of people around you that are strong and sober.
That's it.
And you know, that I went on family dues, and people close to me were saying, "Well, you're not as funny when you've not had a drink."
Yeah, it's a pretty shit thing to say to somebody.
You know, people that are supposed to care about me and love me.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, you're not, you know. But then I'd be in work and I told this story to someone, and they're like, you know, because in work, I like, you know, work for me, you've got to have the crack in work. If you're not having a laugh and you're going into a boring job where, you know, the day's not got a few laughs in it, then I'll go and find a job that has got a few laughs in it. As long as you're doing your job, and it's not you know, you're not tossing the day off like pissing about.
Yeah.
But
so what is your future goals, both professionally and personally?
For the past 5 years, I've always been saying, right, I'm going to get back in. I was into property when I had money, and obviously it was all illegal money, but I was flipping houses. I might have been using them for nefarious reasons, but I was renovating houses and selling them. I didn't have to do a lot, but it was a good cover, and I was good at it. I was pretty good at it, even though I was a junkie and I was a functioning junkie.
Yeah.
And I'd like to get back into shift. You know, I'd like a bit of a property portfolio, and I also like to stay in work in the job that I'm doing, because when it is busy and pressured, there's places I can still go to. I can still develop my career and still get more strings in my bow in what I'm doing, and so I've got loads of positives, and I'd like, you know, I'm me and my partner are in negotiations. We don't wanna not be with each other. It's just it was difficult. We made it difficult for ourselves. It was just a communication thing. We stopped talking to each other about stuff that was annoying us. So
looking back in your life, is there anything that you would have done differently in your life?
Most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did the career path I chose. I wouldn't have done that, you know. I wouldn't have. And taking drugs. I always thought my addictions were just drugs, but it's not. Like I say, I'm an addict. I've got an addict's brain. I get addicted to anything. I can get addicted to fucking staring at the wall. You know, if I do something that I enjoy, I'm addicted to it. And I immediately get addicted to things. It's like I did a tandem parachute jump a couple of years ago, and by the time I'd landed, that was my new career. I'm like, right, where can I learn this? I want to be a parachute instructor. You know, just that immediate, I want to do this kind of thing. I'm like that with anything that I like.
Wow.
And it's not. Addiction's addiction. It's how an addict's brain works. It's just you kind of veer to the easiest form of addiction when you're an addict. Like that might be alcohol or drugs, but I've always replaced one addiction with another.
Yeah, and that's kind of important point actually, because when you quit, for instance, if alcohol is your problem, a lot of people think they'll just replace it with smoking weed because it's less harm or that. But then the thing is, you replace one vice with another vice. Or people say, oh, I'll just do mushrooms because it's natural. Yeah, but it's still altering your mind and it's still a vice.
Yeah, you've got to learn to be comfortable with your own...
In your own skin.
Normal
in
mind.
Your own company.
Mind that's not got any stimulants in it. Yeah, sober mind is a difficult place to be, and that's what substance abuse is usually about. You know, you struggle with life and you struggle with anxiety. You know, I can remember when I first started going out when I was young to pubs and clubs, I used to get this anxiety, so I was pissed before I got there.
Yeah.
I'd have a few drinks to get rid of it.
Yeah, that was standard, wasn't it?
Yeah. Instead of dealing with the anxiety, because once you've dealt with it once or twice, you're a better person. If you deal with it properly, if you deal with those problems properly, it makes you a better person. Doing it with substances is a weakness. It creates weakness in you. It's the easiest way to get rid of the anxiety. If you drink or drugs, but it's not solving it. It's not getting rid of it. It's still there. It's just masking it. It's just covering it up with something.
Or if you look at work functions, nothing more embarrassing than trying to get Dutch courage because you had a work function and then you act like the biggest asshole of the evening in front of your boss or whoever, and you just kind of blew it, you know, just because you want to feel, you know, a bit more merry. But they were all at they've all gone to the races in work this weekend, and they're like, are you coming? I'm like, why? I don't drink. What for? They're like, oh, you have a bet, and you know, I'm like, I'd give it an hour and a half
everyone's messy, jaws swinging, and
yeah,
I'd just be like, oh, get me out of here. But it's on a coach, you know, going on a coach, so I'd be stuck there.
This is people from work.
Yeah.
So if you could talk to your 11-year-old self, what would you say to yourself?
I'll give him a slap.
First the slap and then the advice.
Well, I wouldn't, because 11-year-old me would just like anger and talking to someone with you know, you just shut down, don't you? You stop listening. I would, you know, try and guide him in the right way. But an 11-year-old, that's a curious mind at 11, and that was my biggest downfall, curiosity. I couldn't wait to try all these things that just looked like magical to me, and they were all a fucking letdown. Cocaine has got to be the most overrated drug on the planet.
Oh yeah.
It's shit, you know.
Yeah, and expensive,
It's
doesn't
all right,
last long.
It's all right in the bedroom, but even, you know, if you're not comfortable in the bedroom in normality, and you're doing things when you're coked up that you wouldn't normally do in normality, is it? You know, you lose all your inhibitions with it. But yeah, it's so overrated, and it's like, I remember seeing it on Pulp Fiction. That's who you seen Pulp Fiction?
Yeah.
I thought I was fucking Vincent Vega, mate. You know, driving about with my little case. I had a man bag before anyone had man bags.
Yeah.
Because it had all my heroin kit in it, my speedball kit in it, and I thought I was fucking Vincent Vega, driving about, smacked off my tits, like, yeah, playing the Pulp Fiction soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when she has that line in the toilets and she goes, I said, God damn, Mrs. Mia Wallace, like, when she does that, it's like, I used to do it and say it because I'd seen the film, and it was like, doesn't really make you feel like that. What's there? Not one bit.
Yeah.
I've never had a drug that does. Psychedelics, I like psychedelics. I still use them medicinally. I say that. You know, I would never take mushrooms or DMT or anything for a recreational thing. I've done it. I've done ayahuasca ceremony, and mushrooms, when I take them, I do it to try and get a bit of a journey out of it and answer a few questions for myself, because they make you look deep inside yourself. I've done DMT a few times. That was eye-opening, really eye-opening. That's what this tattoo, when you do my forearm, with the fire dragon, and the cosmic serpent is like a mashup of the fire dragon, which is my Chinese symbol, and the cosmic serpent that most people have seen when they have DMT. It was more like have you seen Never Ending Story?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know that thing he flies about on, the dog thing that he flies about on. It was more like that than a serpent, really. It had a serpent's body, but its head looked more like that.
Yes.
And yeah,
I was very young when that was out.
Yeah. I was pretty young when that was released.
How would you explain this tattoo? What is this we're doing? It's a massive cover-up.
Yeah. So the chimp is the jiu-jitsu. I mean, like, because if I hadn't walked through the doors at SBG, I would never have discovered Roll to Recovery, and I would never be where I am now. I probably wouldn't be sober. So SBG and Roll to Recovery has changed my life so many. You know, I found even people that I've never spoke to at the gym have had a part of my journey. You know, everyone in that gym is got a little bit of responsibility for the change in my life, the good change in my life, you know, because if it weren't for all the gym members, the gym wouldn't be there in the first place, you know.
Yeah.
And anyone that I've interacted with has encouraged me to be there, and you know, it might have just been, I might have spoke to someone for 30 seconds, but they're like, keep coming back, keep, you know, encouraging you to do it. And
yes.
So yeah, that place, I remember walking in once, and there was loads of like flip-flops and shoes on the floor, and I said, Jesus, Stapes, it looks like a mosque in here. And he said, well, it's a religion of violence. But yeah, it was it has been life-changing, that place. And yeah, I thank everyone. But Road to Recovery is, it's, somebody said to me a while ago, why don't you move away, you know, because I can work anywhere in the world, me. With my job, I can work remotely anywhere in the world. And they're like, why don't you get away for a bit? And I'm not strong enough in my recovery to leave and be somewhere in the world where I've not got access. I mean, I'll always have access electronically to Road to Recovery. I can pick up the phone to any of them any day of the week, but I need that Sunday morning is mandatory. It's non-negotiable. So we train on a Wednesday. That's just rolling and technical stuff. Then there's an option to go. The coaches run Red Rose submission grappling as well, which is in Rottenstall, which is it's far away, but I try and get there as much as I can. But it's that's on most days. They coach out of there. But the Road to Recovery, that's a free service. And that's on a Wednesday night and a Sunday morning. But their actual mat time and club is Red Rose Submission Grappling in Rottenstall. And yeah, they're two amazing coaches. The teaching style is, it's I can't say, oh, I've never seen anything before, because I've only been to SPG and trained with Road to Recovery, but he cuts out all the bullshit, you know, the names of leg locks and different positions you're in, and he's like, fuck all that, you don't need to know them, just know that this works and this is how you do it.
Yeah.
And he breaks it down into games, you know, like, this is the first game, this is the second game, and now you're in a different game, and it was some of it I didn't get immediately, but yeah, it's like, I won't say it's an idiot's guide, because I don't think there's no idiots that we're with, you know. Most addict brains are usually quite, I don't want to say ADHD, but yeah, ADHD.
Yeah.
You know, and addiction is usually, intelligence is usually is a sign of, addiction is usually an intelligent person behind it, you know. It's a
yes. So what do you hope people take away from your story today?
I hope I can influence people. Like, you know, when you see people that are influencers, I think, what are you influencing someone to do? Usually bullshit, twerk over the bananas in Asda or something.
Yeah.
Or on a fucking Pelican Crossing holding traffic up. I hope this is a positive influence, and people can, you know, if it works for one person, if one person puts a drink down or a rolled up tenner, or, you know, gives someone a bit of ambition to change their life for the better, because like I say, so sobriety, it's a fucking superpower. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, and it's not all easy work. You've got to keep working at it.
Yeah.
But my life is, I've got some hurdles to get over, like my relationship, you know, that's going to take some work, but I'm pretty confident that it can be fixed. And yeah, just the ambition to change your life, and a bit of hope, really. Give someone a bit of hope that it's doable, because I've had every vice. The only vice I've not had is gambling. And I'd like to think that I've done a good, you know, I've had doors open for me for recovery, but I fucking moonwalked through the bastards. You know, I've walked the walk. People are there and still there for me now to help me, but ultimately it's me. It's got to be me. I was working with a PT not long ago, and my coach from Road to Recovery posted a picture of me when I was overweight, and I, because I've lost 2 stone as well in this journey.
Wow, what's that in kilogram? Close to 20 or?
No, 6.3 kilos to a stone. Yeah. So,
okay.
So 12 and a half key. Yeah, I was 94, and well, a bit more than that actually. I was 94, and now I'm round 80.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, very, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look good, you know, and you look more in shape. Obviously, I've seen you when you were a bit heavier as well.
Yeah.
And you look really good for it. So yeah.
Yeah, it feels miles better. Yeah. And
more healthy.
Yeah, definitely. I hope, yeah, I just hope somebody can change their life, really. Just put the fucking drink down, and get to it. If you don't know where to start, Alcoholics Anonymous is a good one, or Narcotics Anonymous. There's online, if you're not confident enough to go to a meeting, you could go to, there's online meetings, and they're very welcoming. I actually hosted a meeting, I chaired a meeting. So I've been going for about 6 weeks maybe. And at first I was like, oh, it's not for me this, but I stuck with it, and now I get loads from it. And I've not shared for ages. My first share was last week, and immediately after it.
What's a share when you talk about?
So we go in, there's a narrative, sort of few rules, bit of a donation if you've got money to donate, a couple of quid, because it's a self-sustaining entity, is Road to Recovery.
Okay.
Road to Recovery is as well, yeah. Alcoholics Anonymous. So you do a bit of a donation, and then they open the room to shares. The chair will give you a bit of a share, a short share to get people warmed up and lubricated into, that might be a bad choice of words, lubricated.
Yeah.
And then you sit and you talk. You don't have to talk, you can just listen. But that in itself gives you inspiration. And you tell your story, and then they asked me to chair a meeting, and I was a bit nervous, but it was only a small meeting. The guy that usually chairs it went on holiday, and yeah, it was a bit of an honour really. It was like, oh wow, because I thought you had to have done the 12 steps, been so long sober, and I suppose each meeting's different, and they have different principles and protocols. It was great. It felt good being in the chair, because it made me realise that the person in the chair is just one of us. We're not, because when you first go in you think, oh, they're like the boss. It's not like that. Everyone's the same in there. There's no hierarchy, there's no one's kowtowing to anyone. And yeah, it was good, really good. And I'll do it again. I'd like to do it again.
And what would you say, what would your advice be to people who's thinking of selling drugs, or who currently is selling drugs, thinking they're gonna be ballers? And
I don't know anyone that hasn't been to prison, hasn't been involved in serious violence. And my generation was different. I'm old, I'm nearly 50. So it wasn't as naughty as it is now. People kicking doors off if they think you've got 100 quid in the house.
Yeah.
And I don't mean 100 grand, I mean 100 pounds. I coined that phrase, by the way. Yeah, if they think you've got 100 peanuts in the house, they want it, they're coming through your door. And it looks glamorous because it's all fucking rapped about, and gangster rappers who've come from the street and now they're making millions for music, are promoting it. Well, the music industry's told them, that's by design. They want to fill the prisons in America. The prisons are all privately owned and invested, and most of the music company owners own the prisons. So it's in their interest to fill prisons. Anyone is capable of doing anything. Yeah, school is a nightmare. It puts you off. It tells you you're either smart or you're not. You can do something or you can't. They don't guide you into doing something.
Very outdated still. The old shit.
Yeah, draconian in its indoctrination. Yeah. Bankable assets it creates, and prisoners. That's what it creates. Bankable assets or prisoners. And if you're not good at one thing, doesn't mean you're not going to be good at something else. Everyone can be a genius at something. You've just got to find that niche, what you're good at. Nobody wants to be a tradesman anymore. Do you know how much money that gas fitters, like a gas fitter now is only 400 quid a day. All you have to do is a plumbing course and a gas safe register. You can do a course for 6 months and then you're out earning 400 quid a day. A lot of people selling drugs aren't earning 400 quid a day. They might be earning 100 quid a day and they're risking jail and
all that shit. Yeah.
And most people that get into drugs, it's because they see the glamorousness of it and are paying for their own habit. I sell weed, I smoke weed, a few of my mates smoke weed, I might as well get it in bulk and then I can sort them out and it'll pay for mine, and before you know it, you're selling fucking kilos. So yeah, I would I would not advise anyone to get into it. It's a horrible anxiety creating life. That's what it creates, anxiety. And I don't know any success stories. Yeah, there might be people that have got money still, and you know, they might have a nice house and nice cars, but every one of them has been to prison and done a bit of a lengthy prison sentence for it, which is taking you away from your kids and your family and your liberty and your freedom. And it does one or two things. It makes you a better criminal, or it straightens you out.
Yeah, so just to get back to the tattoo, which we will reveal in the end. So stay tuned to the end of the video.
Yeah.
And then we will show you what we've done. So can you just explain, what is this tattoo? What does it mean to you? What does it resemble?
So the chimp is the ode to jiu-jitsu, because I did think of a gorilla, but I'm not really the size that I used to be. Now I've lost 2 stone. I think a chimp's more fitting, leaner, more athletic. And my style's changed. You know, the more you progress in jiu-jitsu, the less you need to use brute force and strength.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, the chimp, it's in space. It's a chimp in space because I'm a sci-fi nut, and I've always been a bit of a space cadet, and the psychedelics, I'm an advocate for psychedelics, so the psychonaut in me, space cadet, and that's really fucking sore. Yeah, and I want a little logo I want to show the road to recovery side of it, yeah, and then it moves down when I get the rest of the arm done. That's a fire dragon, which is my Chinese birth symbol, and the cosmic serpent. I think I touched on that before. The cosmic serpent from the DMT journeys that I've bumped into when I'm there, and had a good chat with about where my life's going.
All right, brother, that is it. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was absolutely an honor.
Yeah.
And I really hope, you know, we reach a few listeners who are struggling with addiction themselves.
Yeah, me too.
And
yeah.
I mean, people are always welcome to reach out if they want any help or advice, you know. For 2 of us who went through it personally, and I'm sure other people who struggled as well will be able to help. And even in the comments, if you see somebody maybe's got a question, people can feel free to, you know, give advice, constructive advice and things. So yeah, we'll show the tattoo now. And man, I wish you all the best with your job and everything, and the future, and that
thanks.
All your dreams come true, man.
It's been really, it's been pretty liberating. It's like a massive, it's been like a massive share at AA or Road to Recovery. Anybody wants to know about Road to Recovery, put something in the comments and I will do my best to reply.
And if you want, we can put your details in the description of the YouTube video. I don't know if you want your number or email or Instagram, whatever, we can put it in there.
Instagram would be better.
Yeah, we can do that. Cool. Thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and stay tuned for the next episode. Make sure, if you've liked the episode, to subscribe, follow, put on your notification bell so you'll be notified when I drop a next episode. Stay safe. Cheers.